want to talk about fats because I think it's still a subject that we're quite unsure of. Like, what kind of fat should we eat? What fat should we stay away from? What are healthy fats? It kind of goes down the line.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in, for being a part of our True Form Life community. We're coming at you with a brand new show. We appreciate whether you're listening on terrestrial radio across the country or as a podcast around the world. We certainly wouldn't be here without you. So stick around. We got all that coming up.
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
So today we're talking about fats. Thank you so much for joining me and talk about healthy fats. I know it's a crazy one for a lot of people, but we'll talk about fats in general. But I'm going to talk about oils, different fats to eat, fats you should stay away from. Get all kinds of fat conversation happening. I want to talk about fats because I think it's still a subject that we're quite unsure of. Like, what kind of fats should we eat? What fats should we stay away from? What are healthy fats? It kind of goes down the line. So let's talk about it. Let's shine some light on it. And I don't know where to start. There's a lot of different things we can talk about. You can look at trans fats, I suppose. Maybe that's the bottom of the tier. Trans fats is the very bottom of the tier, and that's something we should be staying away from 100% without question. And the problem with trans fats is similar to rancid oils, is that they cause inflammation in our body. And most chronic pains stem from inflammation. I would say most dis-ease in our body, most of our pain, injuries, complications, it stems from inflammation. So if you look at fats in particular, those fats are either causing inflammation or reducing inflammation. So if you look at something like a trans fat would be something that's like deep fried, for example, like French fries or battered onion rings. So, you know, what's interesting to me is a lot of people, they deal with heartburn, indigestion, and they're like, I don't know what to do. And the problem is with indigestion is we don't have the acidic levels in our stomach or our gut and intestines that we need. I don't think so much in our intestines, in our gut. And we actually need a certain pH level to break down food and to make sure the food that is being utilized properly. Now, if you have indigestion, your esophagus isn't closing properly. And interesting fact is that as we get older, our body stops producing. As we age, the older we get, it kind of scales. So we have less and less acidity in our stomach to break down that food. So if you have a less than acidic stomach, your esophagus is open instead of closed. And the reason it's open is because of the acidic level. So that's why it's burning. Some people say, oh, I feel like I have a candle burning in my chest. Or every time I eat spicy food, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, get a bit nauseated, or that's like a burning sensation in their throat. And the problem is that those pills that we take that take away that pain, they reduce the acidity in our stomach. So it makes your body even less, it offers a less of ability to break down food. So it might take that pain away initially, but then you have more digestion issues because your body isn't at that acidic level, isn't able to break down the food it needs to. So we need to do other things to prevent heartburn and stay away from those certain types of pills that do that to us. So a creamer story, I was working at a gym and I was getting up early. Wasn't used to getting up early, so I was like, oh, everyone else was never a coffee drinker, never really liked the taste. And people are like, oh, I drink coffee, it wakes me up in the morning. So I was getting up at 5, which was early for me at that time. And I was at the gym at probably 5:30, and I was working. I had to open the door for people. And then some days I'd have 2 shifts, and I'd work in the evening. So I'd have coffee in the morning, and then I love hazelnuts, like hazelnuts and chocolate. Oh, so anyways, I had one of those coffee creamers. Can anyone help me out? What's that name brand? Coffee Mate? coffee mate, and I was putting this creamer in my coffee, and I was like, oh, this is so good. So I'd have like 3 or 4 cups a day. Right, just in the morning, and then I was drinking it later in the evening, in the afternoon, and not really thinking, because I loved the creamer. I was like, oh, this creamer is so good. So I was drinking buckets of this coffee and creamer, and I wasn't sleeping, so I didn't sleep for like a week, and I was like all buzzed, and I'm like, why can't I sleep? And I didn't realize it was because I was having coffee late into the evening. No, it wasn't decaf, it was just coffee. I didn't know anything about coffee. And then I put these creamers in, but I was getting these horrible headaches, just like pounding, splitting headaches. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm not sleeping. I got these headaches. Of course you're always tired. If you don't sleep, you're tired. So anyways, I was like, obviously my coffee's out of control. I figured out after a week, I was like, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't be having coffee in the evenings. So I stopped having coffee in the evenings, and then it just, magically my headaches went away. So obviously it was the creamer. If you look at any of those creamers, they have an ingredients list that long of words that tiny, so it's all chemicals. So all you're doing is putting chemicals in your body. So that's my creamer story of, like, in my short stint of enjoying coffee. The taste of coffee is okay. I much prefer like a macchiato. Is that the one with the chocolate in there? But the caffeine makes me like vibrate very uncomfortably, like inside. I don't like it. So we talked about trans fats briefly and how it causes inflammation, and it's not just trans fats. You have to look at other types of fats. So when you look at oils, like oils are such a dangerous area, because we're like, oh, they're cheap. They're like oil's an oil, and oil is not an oil. We have to pay attention to the oils that we're putting in our body, because most oils are rancid. And I was reading some articles on olive oil in Greece and in Italy, and they were actually, it's a huge industry there. I think sugar is the oldest traded commodity, and then oil. So for years and years, I don't even, thousands of years, they've been trading oil, sugar and oil. Funny we're talking about both, but bigger companies were coming into the ports, and the companies were bringing in rancid oils like grapeseed oil or different vegetable oils. They were bringing in to mix it with olive oil. And I was actually, okay, so the smaller, I don't know if it was the smaller companies, I feel it was like the smaller companies, they were actually like trying to block off the port areas so these companies couldn't come in. So what happens is like, it's a very shady area now. Like, it's a really difficult industry, because it's like the rage, right? So what they were doing is they were trying to prevent the cheaper oils from coming in to the ports, because what they were doing is putting the cheap oils and mixing it with the olive oil. They were polluting their good quality. You know what I mean? So you would have a smaller company that would have 100% extra virgin olive oil. And then you'd have a big manufacturer that was like, hey, we could make a whole lot more of this olive oil if we put in cheap oils. It would last longer, and it would last longer, and we'd get more out of it. So they'd bring all these cheap vegetable oils, put it in the extra virgin olive oil, and now you have the same product, and you make a whole lot more profit. So that's what was happening. But now you have a very loosely regulated industry. Olive oil only has to be about 2 or 3% of olive oil to label it olive oil. So you have all these companies coming out with olive oil, labeling it, and it's rancid oils, it's cheap oils. So you could look at many, like corn oil, you could look at canola oil, you could look at probably grapeseed oils on there, sunflower oil. Like, these are usually lower quality oils. They come in many of them come in clear plastic containers, and they sit on the shelf, and that light exposure causes them to be rancid. But I also think they're probably packaged rancid to begin with, because their oils could be old, cheap, and expired, and there's no real regulations around that. So anytime you want to get a better quality oil, it needs to be in a dark container. It should be in it should be in glass, not plastic. Those are 2 staples that I would never deviate from when it comes to oil, because oil, it's so bad. Like, it causes so many issues if it's the lower quality kind. And I'll talk about MCT oils here in a second, but if you're looking at better quality MCT oils, you can improve your brain health, you can improve your cognitive function, your memory, your motor skills. Oils can do a lot of good things for you, but they can also do a lot of bad things for you. And because of, it's not just the olive oil industry. Like, we've been producing Complete Truth protein for 8 years now, and we're probably close to a year with our vanilla protein. And we look at ingredients, we look at manufacturers, we look at the processes they put it together, and it's crazy what they can do and what they do what they actually do to produce a product that is usually cheap, low quality, and causes more issues in our body long term. So when it comes to coconut oils are the best in my opinion. And so you have to, when you find research, you have to understand who is giving the research. You know what I mean? So if you have an olive oil company that's doing the research and doing their own studies, they're going to say that their product is better than grapeseed oil. If you have a grapeseed oil company and they're comparing the two, and they're looking for research on why their product is better than olive oil. So I watched this. It was really interesting. It was like a news clip of, I forget the name. I think it's a Canadian company, and they're talking about how because coconut oil is a saturated fat, it's actually not a good fat. So they actually went to the grocery stores and were telling people this, and people had, oh, really? I had no idea. And because their research, understand that everyone, when they do research, you can find or justify just about anything through research. So I would always look at different angles, and it kind of freaked me out too. I watched this like news clip of why coconut oil wasn't good for you, and I was like, that's crazy. I've been doing research and using coconut oil for years and telling people to use it. So I kind of felt bad for a second, and I was like, wait a second, that's just one source, and we don't know who paid them, why they put their show together, who is advertising commercials. And then I did more research, and I was like, okay. And we can look at documented studies, we can look at medical research, we can look at published papers where it talks about how coconut oil is good for you and for different reasons. So I think it's very important to look at different sources, different angles, different resources, and come up with your own conclusion. But there's different reasons people come out with different research, I suppose is what I want to share with you. But when it comes to coconut oil, it's something that we believe in. It's something that we use on a regular basis. I'll tell you real quick, my aunt, when we first started using coconut oil, she told me that she had an aunt that had this always had this beautiful hair, like it was always like beautiful and silky and soft. And she asked her, like, what is she doing? And she said, well, she puts coconut oil in her hair every once in a while. And she said she always remembered that specific aunt because she always had this beautiful hair. And so she was using it years ago before everyone started using it. But when it comes to coconut oil specifically, there's different chains or different branches, if you will. And it's called, so when you break coconut oil down, it's called, they have C6, C8, C10, and C12. So there's 4 different ones. And I recently talked to a manufacturer that showed C14 in there, which I didn't even know if there was. So I'd have to do research around there. But I have been researching the 4 different strands of MCT oil. So the number means it has a shorter chain, so it will process quicker. So what happens is, when you put different substances into your body, it turns into ketones, and ketones create energy. So that's why the ketosis diet is going crazy right now, is because people are like, oh, I don't have to eat carbs, which is funny because a lot of people love carbs, and I can have healthy fats to turn into energy, but they hit ketones first and then turn into energy. So with the MCT oil, it processes differently. So I don't even think it hits your liver. So in most cases, you put food in your body, and that has to be processed and broken down, and there's a time frame that happens. But when you put different oils in your body, like a high quality MCT oil, there is not a processing stage, so it gets turned into energy almost instantly. So if you look at coconut oil, and there's names for each of them, but C6 short term is the quickest way to turn into energy, but they don't really sell it because it doesn't taste very good, and it can cause, I think it's maybe not as easy to digest. even though it turns really quickly. So C6 isn't something people sell very often. You could look at C8, which is probably the most known for health benefits because you can sell it with no flavor. C6 is the first one. C8, they often call it brain fuel. So that causes improvements in energy almost instantly, increases in energy. And then they've also have studies around brain function. So cognitive function, mental fog, being able to remember things on a more regular basis. So before I talked about dementias being one of the main type of pillars, if you will, that people worry about, like dementia and Alzheimer's. So C8 MCT oil that goes straight to your brain is something that if you have Alzheimer's in your family, you should be taking MCT oil C8, for example. Then they have C10, and C10 is a bit longer chain, so it acts more as a saturated fat. So the saturated fats, in most cases, we want to stay away from. However, our brain is made up of saturated fat. So people are like, there was a bunch of studies coming out of people like, no saturated fat, stay away from saturated fat. But I would say that saturated fat is okay as long as you're looking at grass-fed animals. If you have any animals that are having that eat like corn, for example, which is a GMO and also a filler, they give corn to cows to fatten them up quicker. So if the cows or chickens or whatever it is you're eating is on corn, then you're ingesting what they're ingesting. So I would say grass-fed butter is okay for that reason, because saturated fats are okay. And then you can look at, so many companies will come out with a C8, C10 MCT oil. And I feel like that's a cheaper version because they can still label it C8. So it's usually a 60-40 blend. And because when people know what they're looking for, if you know what you're looking for at MCT oil, you're usually looking for a C8 MCT oil. So if you're looking for a C8 and they do a blend of 60-40, so maybe it's 40% C8, 60% C10, people are going to see the C8 and like, oh, I'm going to grab that one. So I think could be a labeling issue because it's cheaper to produce the C8 and the C10. So it's cheaper to produce. So C6 is the most expensive, then C8, then C10, then C12. So if they put some C10 in with the C8, they can make the product cheaper. So I believe that's why they produce the combo of 60-40. So if you're looking for a good quality MCT oil, I would say C8 is the best, and you could find C10, which is okay as well. They don't really sell C12 on its own, I don't think. You get all of those oils in a conventional coconut oil. So you could look at a coconut oil at the grocery store or a coconut oil at Costco. Like, of course, anything that sells well, Costco starts selling. So if you go to the grocery store, or you go to Costco, or I don't know who else sells it, even health food stores, I suppose, and it's the solid coconut oil and cold. It has all the C's in there, seeded, C6 to C12, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're just different levels. So when we talk about our different products, we say you can get a cheap product at the dollar store, or you can get a good quality product. And some people try to compare the two. Like for our protein, for example, all our protein is sprouted, it's organic, it's raw, it's not raw. It's sprouted, it's fermented, and it's organic. A combination of all these different ones. So if someone goes to Costco and they get a huge bucket, we sell this for $31.99. So they get a huge bucket and it has all kinds of horrible ingredients, and it has like cookies and cream, or it's like strawberry chocolate blend. It has all these horrible toxins in it. So, and people look at our protein, they look at their protein, they're like, well, I can get twice as much as this one, so I'm going to buy this one, not knowing that they're completely different products. They do different things in our body. They're used for different purposes. So it's the same thing when it comes to coconut oil. If you're looking for the best quality, and if you're looking for brain function, like I said, cognitive function, fine motor skills, memory, you're looking for C8, and it should say C8 MCT oil on it. Otherwise, it's going to just say coconut oil. And if you want coconut oil to cook with or to bake with, that's perfectly fine. But we're starting to use more C8, and I'm going to use that for everything moving forward. So everything when it comes to cooking, I've been doing oil pulling with C8. That coconut oil is antibacterial, so that helps with your helps create clean gums and clean teeth and a bit of teeth whitening naturally. So oil pulling is something you can use it for. You can use it for salads. You can use it to cook with. It has a high smoke point. So there's a lot of different reasons, but if you're looking for a coconut oil, in my opinion, you would be looking at C8. And that's the difference when it comes to the different coconut oils. Otherwise, it's just the regular one, which is fine. It has all of them in there. But it has a different purpose. Understand that. I wanted to mention palm oil. So palm oil is something often found in soap. You actually have to read the ingredients. But when it comes to palm oil is actually a clean product. It's similar to coconut oil, and they don't, at least not yet, they don't mass produce it to be sold like a coconut oil, for example. But they use palm oils in many different types of products. So you can look at different food products, cosmetic products, like bars of soap. I really like bars of soap because there's less plastic. I'd rather a bar of soap in the shower than like a plastic container and use body wash, for example. But if you look at palm oil, I posted this in one of our groups, is that palm oil is, to get the palm from the palm trees, they actually have to tear down the palm trees, especially, I believe it comes from the palm fruit, and sometimes the trees are way too high, they can't get the palm fruit, so they actually tear down trees. And this was actually really sad. I was doing this research and I pulled up this one article, and there was an orangutan that was like kind of attacking a bulldozer. It was like trying to like hit the bulldozer because it was destroying its home. And like, we're super environmentally conscious. We try to reduce plastic. We're animal lovers. So I avoid palm oil in everything. If it says palm oil, I put it down. See what happens when you go to the grocery store. We know that from our supplements on shelves. A company, so a health food store may take our product. If they take our product, it has to sell. If it doesn't sell, they stop producing. If the product doesn't sell on the shelf, they stop ordering it. And us as a manufacturer, or using an external manufacturer, if we're manufacturing a product that doesn't sell, we stop manufacturing it. So I don't want to support companies that use palm oil, hoping that more people will do the same, and that manufacturer will either have to stop producing their product altogether or use a better quality ingredient. So that's my hope, is that they'll stop ruining the rainforests and destroying homes of animals that did nothing wrong. And you know what's interesting is every time I talk about this stuff or I post about it, there's very few likes or comments. It's like people don't want to hear or talk about the environment and what different products are doing to economies. Like, it's crazy. Like, why don't we care? I have no idea, but it's something that we're passionate about. So I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with palm oil health-wise, but I would say there's a whole lot of things wrong with palm oil for environments and for animals and for destroying homes and for eliminating our rainforests, which is what we need. So if you see a product with palm oil, I would ask you to put it down, put it back on the shelf. So like, you vote, like you're voting. So if you go to the grocery store and you buy Post cereal or Kellogg's cereal, you're voting. You say, I want more of this on the shelf. So when enough of those get removed from the shelf, the product manager orders more of that product, which causes the manufacturer to produce more of that product. So if you're ordering a cheap cereal brand, the grocery store manager needs to make money for the store. So he says, we need to refill that because that product is making us money. So I'm asking you to stop to look at the ingredients on bars of soap, on different food products, and if it has palm oil, put it back on the shelf. You're not giving your vote. You're telling them, I don't want that product. If you change the ingredients, I'll buy it from you. That's all I have for you. Stay away from oils that are in plastic containers and oils that are plastic see-through containers. Look for better quality. If you're looking for coconut oil and you want some added benefits, look for coconut oil, MCT oil, C8. Otherwise, I'd recommend cooking with coconut oil, even baking with it. Olive oil is really nice. You could also look at hemp seeds, like sprinkling hemp seeds on your salad is amazing. I sprinkle hemp seeds on my yogurt. I sprinkle hemp seeds on my salads. It's a great way to get healthy fats. So the healthy fats actually eat the bad fats. We're so afraid of fats, and for some reason, some experts say that protein gives you the energy that you're looking for. It's not protein. And talk to anyone that's done any type of fitness competition or anyone that's depleted all carbs from their diet, and at least initially, or not carbs, fats from their diet, at least initially, and they'll tell you how drained they are mentally and physically. So we need fats to fuel us and to give us energy. You can look at like the keto diet, and there are proper reasons to do that diet as well, in my opinion. But some of these diets are eliminate carbs, but note that they don't. I don't know if there's any diet that eliminates fats, because I don't know if we can function properly. We can't function properly for sure. I don't know if we can function at all without proper fats. So you need fats in your diet. So make sure you're getting proper amounts of fats from quality sources. So avocados is a great way to get fats into your body. And so is hemp seeds. Those are a couple of my top ones. But you can look at other nuts and seeds. That's a great way to get fats into your body, to energize you, to fuel you. Even brain health. You could look at two different... is it walnuts? 2 different walnuts, and it looks like a brain. And that's interesting because the walnuts are actually good for brain health. They have proper omegas that you're looking for. I'm just wrapping things up here. So there are other ways. I talked a lot about oils when it comes to fats, but you can get nuts and seeds, for example. You can sprinkle those on. You can bring a handful of like homemade trail mix to get nuts into your body as well. So, or to get the healthy fats. You need healthy fats. Help with your joints. They actually oil your joints up a bit. So those of you that might have joint issues or joint pain, healthy fats. It's really difficult when you're looking at fish oils, because you have to pay attention to the mercury and the heavy metals that the fishies are consuming, especially the bigger fish and the fish that are living longer lives. They've been in the ocean longer. They've been collecting more hard metals. If you're consuming quite a bit of hard metals, like hard metals is in our water, it could be in our food, definitely in fish. I mean, water from the tap. You could look at activated charcoal. That's something that I've been taking every day for a while now, for a few weeks, just to experiment to see how it goes. Activated charcoal from coconuts helps detox those hard metals out of your body, and hard metals cause all kinds of health issues. And activated charcoal also helps with digestion, so that's something that may be of interest from those of you that have digestive issues. But so if you're getting fish oils, make sure if you're buying fish oils, be careful, because the bigger ones, the ones that come from bigger fish could be rancid, and they definitely carry heavy metals. So you want fish oil from like krill oil, maybe even sardine oil. Not like big into fish, but there's definitely a place for fish, especially when it comes to fats. So I would definitely recommend eating fish, especially because you can get the healthy fats from food instead of being extracted, or instead of having a pill or powder or potion, or from that's produced, or that's produced in the manufacturer. Like, you eat the food first, like eat the hemp seeds. They're less produced, for example. And that's basically what I'm getting at. Just make sure you're buying wild instead of farmed when it comes to fish. It's going to cost more, but it's going to be better for your health. And those healthy oils, those healthy fats are going to be much better for you as well. Thank you so much for jumping on here. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you all another time. Take care.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. You can always find us on Facebook.com/TrueFormLife. We post up there a couple times a day on our story. We're always trying to bring you more content around living a healthy lifestyle, whether that be nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. We also have free challenges that we do at least once a month. So if you follow us along there, you'll be able to join maybe a plank challenge or a squat challenge, Tabata challenge, whatever it may be. We'd love to have you join us. We're also on Instagram.com/DrewTadia. Again, we're posting up there a couple times a day along with our story, all dedicated to keeping you fit and healthy and on track. Our main website is trueformlife.com. If you want to check out some of our products, some of our services, or if you just want some great content from videos to blog posts and recipes and more, we got all that at trueformlife.com. Once again, thank you so much for being here. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.